before you say a word, your dog already knows something changed. Not because they're psychic, not because they're magical, but because they've been watching you more carefully, more consistently, more quietly than most people in your life ever have. And sometimes, in those moments when you feel most invisible, most misunderstood, most alone in a room full of people, your dog walks over, sits down beside you, and just stays. That's not a coincidence. That's something much more fascinating. And if you've ever felt like your dog understands you better than most humans do, you're not imagining it. You're noticing something real. You've felt it before. You walk through the front door after the kind of day that hollows you out. You haven't said a word. Your face is composed. Your voice is neutral. But before you can set your bag down, before you've even exhaled, your dog is already there. Not excited the way they are on good days. Quieter, closer, like they already know. Or maybe you were sitting alone, not crying, not speaking, just carrying something heavy inside your chest, and your dog climbed up next to you, rested their head on your leg, and didn't move for a long time. Like they were holding something with you. Or you were sick, just physically unwell, and your dog barely left the room, watched you, stayed near, as if they had somewhere to be and decided this was more important. Every dog owner has a version of this story. And almost every one of them at some point has thought, how did they know? Here's what's interesting. Dogs don't understand your words. They don't know what your meeting was about, or why that conversation hurt, or what you're worried about at 2 a.m. But they understand something your words never fully capture. They understand your body, and your body tells a far more honest story than you do. Humans are remarkably good at masking. We've been doing it our whole lives. We learn to compose our faces, control our voices, say, "I'm fine," with enough conviction that most people accept it. We've become fluent in the performance of okay, but your nervous system can't perform. It doesn't know how. When you're anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and fast. Your posture tightens. The way you move through a room changes quicker, more clipped, less fluid. When you're sad, your movement's slow. Your voice drops in pitch. Your body takes up less space, as if it's trying to become smaller. When something is wrong but you haven't named it yet, your energy shifts in ways so subtle you might not notice them yourself. Your dog notices all of it. This is what behavioral researchers have found consistently. Dogs are exceptionally attuned to human physiological and emotional cues. They read microsignals, breath rate, muscle tension, gait, facial muscle movement, voice frequency. They've been living alongside humans for tens of thousands of years, and in that time, they've developed something extraordinary, not psychic ability, but observation so refined it borders on fluency. They learn to read us the way we never fully learn to read each other. And here's the part nobody tells you about that. The reason your dog's attention feels so different, so much more validating, isn't just because they're perceptive, it's because most humans aren't. Not like that. Not consistently. Not without agenda. Think about the last time someone really watched you. Not listened to what you said, watched you, noticed your energy before you explained it, recognized that something was off without you having to name it. For most people, those moments are rare. We're surrounded by people who respond to our words, our explanations, our carefully managed presentations of ourselves, but rarely to what's underneath. We live in a world that rewards articulation. If you can name your feeling, frame your struggle, explain your need, then someone might respond. But if you're carrying something you haven't found words for yet, something diffuse and quiet and half-formed, most people won't catch it. They're waiting for the sentence, the cue, the declared emotion. Your dog isn't waiting for any of that. They're already responding to what's there before language even enters the picture. That's why it feels different. That's why some people, in the most vulnerable moments of their lives, have found themselves more comforted by the presence of their dog than by the words of other humans. It's not that the dog is superior. It's that the dog is offering something specific: attentiveness without demand, presence without interpretation, response without the need for explanation. The brain has one more layer to this worth understanding. Dogs don't just react to a single moment. They learn you over time. They build a pattern, a detailed, evolving emotional map of who you are across seasons and circumstances. They know what your resting state looks like. They know your baseline. So when something deviates even slightly, they register it as information. This is what makes the bond so singular. You're not just a human to your dog, you're a studied subject, a person they've been quietly researching for years. Your dog has accumulated more observations about your emotional landscape than most people who know you will ever have. And they reference that knowledge constantly, in real time, without you knowing. Which means on the day something changed inside you, the day grief arrived, or something cracked quietly, or you started feeling a loneliness you couldn't explain, your dog didn't need you to announce it. They'd been paying close enough attention that they felt the shift. The way you'd feel a change in pressure before rain, nobody else noticed. Maybe you hadn't fully noticed yourself yet, but your dog came and sat beside you anyway. There is something profoundly human about the ache of being unseen. Psychologists who study attachment describe a core emotional need that stays constant across a lifetime: the need to feel that someone is paying attention, that someone is tracking you, that your inner world registers for another living being. When that need goes unmet, when you're surrounded by people who hear your words but miss the rest, the absence creates a particular kind of loneliness. It's not the loneliness of being alone, it's the loneliness of being present and invisible at the same time. And then your dog does the thing they do. Comes over, sits down, stays. Doesn't ask questions, doesn't need it explained. Just responds to the unspoken part of you with a presence so steady it feels like something solid in an uncertain moment. Like an anchor that doesn't need to understand the storm to hold you through it. That's not poetry, that's biology meeting emotional need in a way that turns out to be deeply healing. We assume understanding requires language. We've been taught that connection happens through conversation, through telling, explaining, being heard in our words, and that kind of connection matters. But it's not the only kind, and sometimes it's not the kind we need most. Sometimes what the nervous system needs isn't to be heard, it needs to be felt. To have another living creature register your emotional state without judgment, without advice, without the exhausting work of translation. To simply be met where you are, in whatever state you're in, by something that isn't asking you to be different or more or clearer. Your dog offers this, effortlessly, without ever knowing they're doing something that most humans find difficult. Maybe your dog doesn't understand your problems. Maybe they don't know what happened at work, or why you cried, or what the weight is that you carry into a room before you've said a word. Maybe they don't understand heartbreak or grief or anxiety the way another human might, but they understand something else. They understand you, the version of you that lives beneath your explanations, the version that exists before you found the words, the version that most people moving through their own busy inner worlds never quite manage to notice. And maybe that's why the bond feels like it does. Not because dogs are magical, but because being truly observed even without words, even without full comprehension, feels a little like being known. And being known in any form by any living creature who has been quietly watching you all this time is one of the oldest comforts there is. If your dog has ever seemed to know exactly how you felt before you said a word, before you admitted it to yourself, tell me about that moment in the comments. I read every story, and some of the most powerful ones may appear in a future video.